These three projects alone accounted, this farmers market, horse arena, and such, accounted for about $1 million extra being spent above and beyond what voters were told. And there are plenty of questions about bidding processes used or not used. Interestingly, also, some of the same contractors keep putting in low bids and discovering mistakes in the process and their math. And I really didn't know what this said. Some people might think this looks like bid rigging was involved. At a minimum, you've got to wonder about the incompetence. Anytime we can build a facility like we got in Suches for the money we built it for, I'll be glad if somebody call me incompetent. SPLOST Fact 4. The concept is simple. The added permanent and continuing cost to operate, heating and cool, maintaining, let me see if I can skip this. This is another one of those where we're threatening the financial health of the county with all these projects. That all these projects we build are going to cost extra money to maintain and to keep up and staff, and therefore the county's going to go broke doing that. Well, when we figured these projects in, we knew what they were going to cost. We knew what the operation cost was going to be. We knew what the budgeting was going to be, and we budgeted for these projects. We have not had to raise taxes in the last 4 years. We have done all these projects. We've got them online. They are working. Several of them are producing revenue in addition, and we are not in any financial difficulty because of it. Open records requests have been made to the Commissioner's office to get specific cost increases. But working with the Commissioner to get facts is like pulling teeth. He has a long history of violating and ignoring open records laws and is already well past the legal time limit to provide information. But his violation of the open records law knows no bounds and already threats a lawsuit, including by me. This is our friend that lives down in Gilmer County. And we've been publicly warned of that. And we've really been shivering about it. We're concerned that they're going to sue us over nothing, which is what this whole thing is, nothing. We can only assume that the reason the Commissioner is stonewalling these open records requests is that he really doesn't want the truth of how fast the increased bills are racking up to come out. The Commissioner is blatantly lying to the public. I'm going to take just a little trip right over here. You see this file box? It's a Linda Pittman Open Records, 2010, 2011, 2012. These are all individual pages that, fortunately, they had to pay for to be copied. But this is some in the last 3 years of our open records request to the county that we have given her and complied with, and these are copies of it. But yes, she's telling everybody we don't do it because she comes in one day and wants it the next day and can't understand it. Again, she does not understand the law. The law is clear. Within 3 days, we let them know when we will have the records available. Sometime we can get them in 3 days. Most of the time, because of limited staff, it takes another week or 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks to get them. But we give that information. And in addition, these are my files. When they decided that I was such a big crook and they got Richard Belcher up here and they hired Mr. Anderson, what was his first name? George Anderson, to come up and do an investigation of the county. When George got up here and did it and started looking through all this information, he said, Lamar, they're crazy. You're not doing anything wrong. And so they sued him because he didn't find anything wrong that I was doing. He's a poor guy in bad health, and they harassed him right to the nth degree. He lives over in Rome, Georgia. this is all the stuff they gave him about me. So this is pages, thousands of pages about what a crook and a thief that I am. But it's nothing new because you're hearing the summaries of all of it today. But I've got that. And then this book, you can see this. This is just posts that they put on the website about me in the last probably 6, 7 years. But this is a part of it that's fun. Because they have no life. Their only life, and her only life, is trying to get me arrested and put in jail for something illegal. And I haven't done anything illegal. I'm not going to do anything illegal. This job doesn't pay enough for me to take a chance on doing anything illegal. So it's just preposterous of what goes on and how people get things in their mind that they think you're doing crooked or that you don't know what you're doing. This is my home. I was born and raised here. I love this county. Everything I do, my wife constantly on me because I spend so much time doing this instead of being at home. I have to hire somebody to mow my yard, to clean the house, to do other things because I'm working all the time trying to make this a better county. And I've got a lady that I personally think is a bitch that is continuing to put out false and libelous and slanderous information. I could sue her. I could sue the guy that she's using. And I could sue a couple other people. But you know what it's going to cost me? It's going to cost me $10,000 out of my pocket. When I pay the $10,000 out, I'm going to sue the other guy who did this paper. He has no money. He's a convicted felon. He's a, in my opinion, again, I think he's a scumbag. He's a ward of the state. He has no money. He's on welfare. And all he's got to do at home is sit down there and listen to the stuff she sends him and then come back and produce false information. I'm sorry I got on that. I told somebody I'd be, yeah.
Commissioner, in reference to the remarks there about you furnishing space for veterans organizations out in the Leon Davenport building, the state law authorizes the counties to give that space to them, and it says you may do that. And I think every citizen in this county should applaud the county for furnishing their veterans that space.
Well, thank you. I'm going to go on to SPLOST 5, and there's only 3 more, 5, 6, 7, and half of 8. Meeks Park Land, purchased 30.61 acres of land for $1 million, divided by the acreage, that's 32,000 an acre. Now this is interesting. You need to wake up if you're not already. The seller is Jack Caldwell. Now that's the Caldwell family. There's about 4 or 5 brothers and sisters that were born and raised in Union County, but they moved off and they've all been gone for years. Seller was Jack Caldwell. Lamar Paris and his family owns land that borders the property. It's true. Other repeat names, often hidden under a multitude of LLCs, also own property in this area. Well, we're trying to figure out just who those people are. We don't know who they are. We don't know anybody that's got an LLC over there. We don't know anybody, our property, Bill Meeks Park was my neighbor. He helped raise me. We got Meeks Park because I had a relationship with him in order to be able to get the property from him. So, and we were raised right over the ridge, so we all lived there. We've owned property that bordered down to Meeks Park for years. Does that help our property because we got a ball field with lights down there at the edge of it? I don't think so. Is there anything I'm getting as a benefit of this? I don't think so. Farmers market, this gets better. Purchased 8.3 acre parcel in 2009 for $207,000. And that's what we did. We bought the farmer's market property. Divided by the acres, that's $25,000 an acre. The seller was Jane Wimpy Rogers that Lamar went to school with. Well, I'll be damned. How do you think we knew about that property, that I knew about it, and had a chance for the county to buy it? It's because I knew that family. They didn't want to sell that property. I had to talk them into selling that property. There's also a ton of land in the area owned by the same men owning property around Meeks Park. It's a damn lie. There's who? You know, they just put this stuff out here, and it's just a total fabrication. There's nobody out there that's like it's some conspiracy that we're working on, trying to do the best we can for the county and get the best we can at the lowest price. Most importantly, I think it's important to note that the entire property is in a floodplain. Well, that's too bad. We shouldn't have built the farmer's market there because it's in a floodplain. That's just a really bad location there. A huge additional cost involved. We had to put 1,300 dump trucks of dirt in there to be able to put it there. Now, I wonder if we didn't know that before we bought that property, that it was in a floodplain. And I wonder if we didn't know we were going to have to put fill dirt in there to do it. And I wonder if we didn't plan that was going to be part of the cost of that project. Farmers Market and Cannery Part 2 purchased 5.44 acres recently, addition for $163,200. That's $30,000 an acre. Same notes apply as above regarding the seller and all the surrounding land and property owners. Important note, the land was landlocked. So in addition, they had to build an expensive bridge to get over the creek. Well, here's the creek, and here's the property we bought. The creek's between us. How's that landlocked? It might be creek locked, but it's not landlocked. The property's right there. We put in 2 low water culverts because there were 2 fords that were there. You drive through the ford. We could have continued to use those fords, but we didn't think that was best for the future of the facility because we want a nice facility. So we had the road department go in and build 2 low water culvert crossings there. And we've got those now. And we could not have bought that little strip of property if I did not have a relationship with the Wimpy Rogers family, because I had to beg them to sell us that property. That we needed more. It's part of a bigger commercial piece, and they felt like they could sell it and get a lot of money, a lot more than we paid for it per acre as a commercial tract. But we had to talk and get them to do that, and I'm very proud that we were able to do it, and it's going to be huge in the future of what we can do out on the farmer's market property. 0.29 acre parking lot next to the annex building, and we paid $200,000 for it. You know, if there's one piece of property we bought that I feel like we paid more than it's probably worth, it was that piece. At the time, we had a $1.5 million grant from the federal government, a New Hope grant, to do a drug interdiction program, and we had nowhere for anybody to park. The property line went right through the parking lot at the old nursing home, and so we had to pay the adjacent property owner for that tract of land. We negotiated. I started out at, I think, $300,000 and then $250,000, and we finally negotiated down to $200,000. Was it more than I wanted to pay? Sure it was. Did we have to have it? We had to have it. We had no choice. So we got that parking lot now, and at some point in time, when we get the money and we get the time to work on that building and facility and do some more renovation, we'll definitely need that parking lot. Byron Herbert Reese edition, below our other recent land purchases, they go on about somehow they got the Downtown Development Authority in here that they paid $2 million for a piece of property at $241,000 an acre, and of course they're trying to tie me into that as something illegal or immoral or whatever. But that's not an issue. We have nothing to do with that. We work with the city on it, but we certainly have nothing to do with them buying property over there along in Blairsville. And I want to say to the mayor right now that I admire him and the city council members for having the gumption to go out and buy that piece of property, because that's huge, going to be huge the future of the city of Blairsville. And that and the project they're doing downtown, I know we've all heard fun made out of it, of islands and people moving stuff here and there and redoing, but in the end, it's turned out to be really, really nice. and I think it was a good project that the city and Downtown Development Authority did, and we appreciate them doing it, and we're working with them on that project, trying to see if we can have some funding on it. I think I'm going to skip, just in the interest of time. Georgia law requires projects over $100,000 to be bid out, and that's the project in Suches that I've already told you about, the $200-something thousand that we sole source provider that we did over there, which we got the legal right to do. Georgia law says you can't use SPLOST funds to pay off a revenue bond. Again, they don't know the detail of the law, and with the way ours is set up, we certainly can. Georgia law requires annual newspaper and audit publication. Lamar's annual newspaper report is full of errors, inconsistencies, and often does not match up with the legally required reports. It's just a damn lie. We put the report in as required by law usually in December of every year. Now, it's not going to be valid in January and February because we've already spent more money on the project. So if you get the audit and you look at a number from January or February, it's not going to match the number in the paper. But at the end of the year, when we put the number in the paper, it's accurate. Why would we put a false number in there? And how would they know that we put a false number in there? Because they go get an audit that they can't understand and try to read it and try to interpret the numbers and make them match up when they won't match up and they can't match up. But they continue to do that. And they continue to call us errors and lies and mistakes. Or I talked about abandoning projects. We're not abandoning any projects. Talked about adding the projects. Told you how that's working. Georgia law, open records law. The Commissioner's Office has, Georgia open records law, I think we talked about that, but the Commissioner's Office has violated this law so badly and so often that lawsuits have already been threatened on this one issue alone. Now, who's threatened the lawsuit? This guy right here, Lynn Pittman's buddy. That's who's threatened the lawsuit. He ain't going to file a lawsuit because he ain't got any money. And he doesn't have a legal reason to file a lawsuit because everything he's saying in here just about is a lie or a misrepresentation. And she has bought into it and furnished him the information and gone along with it and agreed to it. And that's the kind of people you have to deal with in a county. But you know what? I started to tell you all this a while ago. Even though I'm a little excited right now, it does me a lot of good to know that her and 2 or 3 or 4 people that works with her and this guy have dedicated their entire life to trying to get something on me that they can't get. Because it's not that they can't get it, it's not there. And they continue to make it up. They continue to come do more open records. Imagine how much time our office has spent making copies and looking up all of that information. Now, we can charge for our time, but it doesn't cover the aggravation of doing it. But the pleasure I get is knowing that they have no other life. They're willing to run down my wife. They're willing to run down other people in the community, the DA, and others because they won't come and prosecute me for something that I'm not doing wrong. And so that's what you have to put up with it. But at the same time, I smile now. I'm mad tonight, a little upset tonight, but I smile because I know that their ever waking minute is dedicated to trying to get me. And they can't do it. And they won't be able to do it, and they'll never be able to do it because everything they're trying to do is a lie. It's either a lie or a misrepresentation. And some of it they just simply don't understand and don't know that they don't understand it and won't try to find out the information to make it better. Georgia SPLOST law does not allow money to be borrowed. Well, crazy. They accuse of using different monies to borrow money to do projects when we didn't. We used it out. We got it out of our budget. Well, they came up with this stuff. We don't know where it all comes from. And I'm on the last page. The current SPLOST doesn't end in 2015. We've actually already talked about 34. Yeah, that's about holding the vote and trying to keep it from failing. So, now that's not all the information in here. There's a whole section in here where she talks about the audit and tries to smear the county and our good people in the finance department. And then there's a big not a big, but a section in here where she accuses me of cheating in property taxes, which is also a lie, and also a misrepresentation. They've put just enough facts in there to where there may be something in that document that's factual, but then they'll make the summary of it, and it'll all be lies and innuendos. So I took, and I really missed some important things in here I meant to go over, but I know y'all are getting pretty bored now, so I'm gonna take this 20 after. I'm gonna take 10 minutes for questions or comments, and then we're gonna leave at 6:30. So I'll open it up to anybody that has any questions or comments. Okay, hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank y'all for coming.